Shabbos Daf Lamed Gimel. The Gemara gives us 6 categories of different averos and what the different punishments for those averos are. Starting off with gezel, stealing. Locusts will come and devour the entire crop. If there's no crop, people get really hungry quickly. They'll end up chas v'shalom eating their own children. The pasuk says parais habashan, the fat cows. Says Rav, this is referring to these women who don't have jobs and all they do all day is shop, shop, shop. And this causes their husbands to go into debt and not have enough money, and they'll have to steal in order to pay their credit card bills. The avera of inui din, meaning if you are a judge and you have the judgment and you don't give it over to the baldin, you torture him a little bit, or a corrupt judgment, or kilkul adin means you don't look into the case deep enough. Perhaps you'll find a heter or something for the guy and you don't. Or for the avera of bidul Torah, all these, there's cherev, there's sword, there's war, and the enemy comes and takes the booty. There'll be famine, you'll eat, you won't be satiated, and you'll buy bread by the weight. For the avera of shvuah, shav, and sheker, meaning you swear falsely, you did something in the past, or you're going to do something in the future, or you say that right now it's night when everybody knows it's day. In the pasuk it says the word chilul by shvuah. It also says chilul by chilul Shabbos and by chilul Hashem. So all three are the same in terms of the punishment. There'll be wild beasts, they'll come and eat the livestock. There'll be less people, and therefore the roads will be desolate. Because of the avera of retzicha, of murder, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was machriv the Beis Hamikdash, and his shechina was removed from Klal Yisrael. For the avera of gilui arayos, avodah zara, and not keeping shmita and yovel, there'll be gullus to the world, and we will leave our country, and others will take over. For the avera of nivel peh, the lashon of the Gemara is this tsaros, rabbis, gzeiros, kashos, terrible decrees, terrible tsaros. And the young bachurim will die, the orphans and the widows will cry out to Hashem, and He won't answer them. Everybody knows why a kal gets married, but if you talk about it, you're menavel peh. Even if you were supposed to live 70 years in peace, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Chas v'Shalom flips it over. It's not only the person talking, it's the person that hears and doesn't make a mecha also gets punished. They deepen the Gehenna for both of these people. If a person sets aside time to do an avera, what will happen is he'll have welts and wounds on his body, and he'll even have this disease called hidrokoin. Hidrokoin comes in 3 varieties. One of them causes the skin to be puffed up and tough, and that comes for arayos. That's usually when the Gemara says avera, it's referring to arayos. When a person is in a starvation mode, then it swells, and when it comes from kisho, from sorcery, then a person gets skinny. Shmuel HaKatan had it droiken, and he was worried that people will be chayshish that it's because of he was over the arayos. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu healed him right away. Abaya had it droiken, and Rav said on Abaya, I know that Nachmani, otherwise known as Abaya, he fasts a lot, and therefore he has it droiken. Rav himself, who knew how to get out of it droiken, the reason why he got it droiken is because he didn't relieve himself in the bathroom when he had talmidim. He was a oinus because of the talmidim. If a person has sinas chinam, you could tell that if he has jaundice, he has yellow, that is because of sinas chinam. If a person has gases ruach, the simon for that is that he becomes poor. A simon for a person that talks lashon hara is askara, is the restriction of the esophagus when he can't breathe any longer. Rabbi Yossi says askara comes because a person eats tevel without giving trumas and maisros. When Chacham went into Keren B'Yavna, so Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yossi, and Rashbi, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai were sitting there, and they asked them, why is it that askara starts from the intestines and works its way up to the throat? Rabbi Yehuda is Rosh HaMedarben B'Chol Makom. He starts answering every place, as the Gemara is going to describe later on. And he said, even though the kidneys give the advice and the heart understands and the tongue articulates, but it's the mouth that finishes it off. And that's why it finishes off by the mouth. Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yossi says because people eat tevel, and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says because of bittul Torah. But women who are not mevatel Torah, why do they get askara? Because they're mevatel their husbands. Goyim are not mevatel Torah, they are mevatel Jews. What about young children? Says the Gemara, because they're mevatel their fathers. Says Rashi, when they come to ask their fathers for candy while the father is learning, that's their avera, and that's why they get punished. Chas v'shalom. But kids that are learning in school don't have the time to bother the father. Why is it? Because when the dar has tzaddikim, the tzaddikim take the brunt of the averas of the dar. When there are no tzaddikim, then it's the children that take the avera of the dar. Why was Rabbi Yehuda the Rosh HaMedarben B'Chol Makom, as we mentioned before? Because he sat with Rabbi Yossi and Shimon Bar Yochai, and Rabbi Yehuda said that we have to give praise to the Romans because they made us marketplaces and bridges and bathhouses. Rabbi Yossi was quiet, and Reb Shimon Bar Yochai didn't like it. He said the reason why they make marketplaces is to put zaynis in there. Their mechatzais is just for themselves, and the bridges are to collect tolls. There was a person by the name of Yehuda Megerim, which Rashi and Taisus both say that he was a chashuv person, he was a Tana. And he said it over to his friends, and it eventually traveled from his friends all the way to the Romans. And the Romans put Rabbi Yehuda Roisham and Darim l'chol makam because he gave praise to the Romans. Because Rabbi Yossi didn't make a macha, they threw him to Tzipayri, and they wanted to kill Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. The famous story of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai took flight. He ran to the Beis Hamedrash, where his wife would bring him bread and water. But then he said if they torture his wife, she might give up where he's at. So he ran to the cave, and there was a nace, that a carob tree, which usually takes 70 years to bear fruit, it bared fruit. It actually grew there. That's nace number one, and it bared fruit. And there was a spring of water there. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon, were both there, and they went into the mud. They took off their clothes in order to save their clothing. They would put their clothing on for davening only. After the Caesar died, Eliyahu came and he notified them that it's over. They were in the cave for 12 years. They came out of the cave and they saw people plowing the field, and they couldn't believe their eyes. How could people waste their time with mundane things like earning a living and not spending their time with Chaya Olam, learning Torah? And they started burning everybody that they saw. And a baskel came down and said, what are you trying to do? You're trying to destroy our world, my world. Get back into the cave. So they went back into the cave, and they made a calculation. They said if a person could only be in Gehenna, a Rasha, for 12 months, we shouldn't be in our cave for more than an additional 12 months. And they went out, and as they were coming out, a baskel said, yes, you can come out. Wherever Reb Elazar and Reb Shimon destroyed, Reb Shimon would fix. And Reb Shimon told his son Reb Elazar, what are you so worried that there's not enough Torah in the world? Between me and you, we have all the Torah the world needs. Let it go. And on Erev Shabbos, they saw Ahu Saba. Many times, it says where it says Ahu Saba means Eliyahu Navi. They saw an older person carrying 2 bundles of Hadassim. And they said, what are you doing with this? He said, I need it for Shabbos. But why 2? He said, one for Zachar and one for Shamar. And here's the concept of lighting 2 candles for Shabbos, Zachar and Shamar. And he said, Kama Chavivim Yisrael, look how beautiful Klal Yisrael is, or the mitzvahs, Kama Chavivim, the mitzvahs. And he calmed down Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Says Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, who was either his father-in-law, his son-in-law, his mechutin, he said he couldn't believe, he gave him a massage, and he couldn't believe the welts, the scars that he had on his body from the mud. And he started crying, and a tear went into the cut, to the wound, and it caused Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai to be uncomfortable and scream. And Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair said, I cannot believe that I see you like this. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai told him the opposite. It's because you see me like this, because of what I went through, I became who I became, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And the Gemara just tells us that before they went into the cave, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai would ask Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair a question, and Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair would answer him 12 answers. But after he came out of the cave, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair would ask Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai a question, and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai would answer him 24 questions, 24 answers. Have a wonderful day.